Hello, this is Maestro X, and I'm going to go over the Level 1 Academic Word of the Day, Acknowledge, for Week 3, Quarter 4. Let's take a look at your flashcard. Acknowledge has 3 syllables, and the emphasis or stress is on the second syllable, nal. So we say acknowledge, acknowledge. We have 3 definitions, all of them verbs. Let's take a look at the 3 definitions with the first one. To accept that something is true, let's take a look at that one first. Okay, if you accept that something is true, you don't deny it exists. Okay, so let's take a look at a sentence example. Students must acknowledge that attaining a high school diploma as an adult is challenging, but not impossible. All right? Attaining a high school diploma as an adult, it is challenging. It's very, very difficult. It's no walk in the park, as they might say. It's not easy as pie. It's something that you really have to push yourself and be really determined and persevere. And, if you don't acknowledge that, then it's going to become impossible. But if you acknowledge it and accept it and keep pushing and keep being determined, and you can do it. You can do it. Okay? The second definition is to accept that somebody or something has a particular authority or status. Okay, it's like recognizing. Okay, so maybe your coworker got promoted to be a boss and you're like, you know what? It's hard for me to acknowledge that. It's hard for me to accept that you are now my boss and not just my coworker or friend. Okay, so let's look at another example. Your example from your English class today uses this definition. One result of the civil rights movement is that literature classes today acknowledge the contributions of women writers and writers of color. Okay, writers of color are, basically non-white writers. And really, if you, took English classes in high school before the 1960s, almost all of the authors that you would read would be male and white European. Okay. After one of the results of the civil rights movements in the 1960s is that, we need to see that women writers are important and non-white writers also have a particular status. They can write as well and produce classic and wonderful and great literature. Our third definition, again a verb, is to tell somebody that you have received something that they sent you. I think so many of you like to text message, and maybe you text someone and you ask them a question and then they don't reply. They don't acknowledge that you sent them a text, and that drives you crazy. So to tell somebody that you've received something that they sent you. So you can acknowledge someone's text by replying. You can also use this sentence, or see how it's used in this sentence. Community colleges will acknowledge your applications for admission by sending you an email. And generally these days, community college applications are done online, and after you hit finish, then they reply with an email and saying, hey, we got your application and we're looking forward to you attending our school. We have 2 familial words, acknowledged, which is the adjective, the participle form, and acknowledgement, which is, the acceptance that something is true, or the acceptance that something has a particular status, or the actual thing that was sent to say that someone received something. So for example, this in itself, the email is the acknowledgement. You have 2 synonyms, accept and allow. and 2 antonyms to reject and deny. Try to memorize at least one of them. Okay, if you got this one wrong on your reassessment, or if you're new, you should write an original sentence and about yourself on a separate flashcard and include an illustration and staple it to your reassessment and turn it back in on Friday. Happy studying.